The Bible, that sacred compendium that has guided millions of people in their faith for centuries, is often understood as a work centered on the figure of God. However, what if that interpretation were incomplete or even mistaken? This text challenges traditional notions and offers a provocative perspective. The Bible could be much more of a guide to human experience, self-discovery, and personal transformation than an exclusive manual about divinity. Through an exploration of Jesus' lesser-known teachings, his symbolic messages, and texts considered apocryphal or esoteric, we delve into ancient knowledge that has remained in the shadows. This approach re-examines biblical accounts, suggesting that the stories and lessons contained in its pages are not solely aimed at connecting humanity with God, but also with its own inner power and universal purpose. Join us on this journey into the controversial and lost knowledge that Jesus imparted, a legacy that transcends religions and challenges how we have understood the Bible until now. Are we ready to discover what it truly means? For centuries, people have looked to the Bible for answers about God, believing it to be a book about creation, love, and faith. But scholars now suggest that the Bible may not tell the story of one God after all. Instead, it could be about a group of mysterious, powerful beings called the Elohim, who might have controlled humanity for thousands of years. Mauro and Paul began delving into ancient translations, seeking the true meanings behind certain words in the Bible. What they found was startling. For example, translating Elohim as God is inaccurate. Elohim is actually a plural word, meaning not one God but many powerful beings. Let's start with a massive translation error that has lasted over 2,000 years. The word Elohim. People have long believed this word means God, but it's actually a plural form in ancient Hebrew, meaning the powerful ones, not a single God. This changes everything. What we thought was a story about a single almighty God might actually be about multiple powerful beings. The Bible refers to Elohim not as spiritual beings floating in the heavens, but as flesh and blood entities walking among humans, influencing events on earth. The earliest Bible translations, from ancient Hebrew to Greek and Latin, started distorting the text's meaning. In the 4th century, the Roman Emperor Constantine played a pivotal role in standardizing Christianity. Constantine compiled and edited the Bible to align it with a new religious narrative of one omnipotent God. This was no mere translation error, it was deliberate. Those in power wanted a version of religion that kept society in check. By turning the plural Elohim into a singular God, they simplified the story to control how people perceived their relationship with the divine. Consider Genesis, the first book of the Bible. Stories you've heard of how God supposedly created the world in 7 days might actually be accounts of multiple beings who shaped and influenced the earth. Misinterpretations like this change the Bible's entire meaning, presenting it as a story about one God rather than a complex saga involving many powerful entities interacting with humanity in ways we are only now beginning to understand. Misinterpretations extend beyond Elohim. Scholars also found that the name Yahweh, often believed to refer to the God of the Old Testament, might not mean God in the way we think at all. In ancient Hebrew, Yahweh might not even have been a divine name, but rather a title for one of these powerful beings. Disturbingly, in its original form, the Bible wasn't meant to be about love, mercy, or spirituality as we think of today. It was more a record of power struggles, territorial battles, and ancient technologies that humans couldn't understand. The story focused on the interactions of the Elohim with Earth, entangling humanity in their conflicts. But by altering the language, removing key details, and twisting original meanings, those who controlled the Bible's translation crafted a simpler, more convenient story, one in which people believed they were ruled by a single, all-powerful God. In the original Hebrew texts, the Elohim were responsible for strange and mysterious acts, influencing the rise and fall of kingdoms, manipulating human conflicts, and even shaping the course of history. But over centuries of editing and reinterpretation, this tale was reduced to the Bible we know today, a version crafted to make us obedient and fearful of one single divine authority. Let's go back to the 6th century BCE, when the first major editing of Hebrew scriptures took place. During this time, the growing ideology of monotheism led to altering many earlier polytheistic stories. By the Middle Ages, the Bible's original meanings had drifted so far from the truth that they barely resembled their earliest versions. If we've been fed a false version of the Bible for so long, what else might we not know? What other aspects of history or knowledge might have been rewritten or erased? Words like Elohim and Yahweh have been mistranslated, misleading us into seeing an incomplete reality. By understanding the true meanings behind these words, we could uncover secrets about our origins, our place in the universe, and even the real powers influencing our world today. Religion has been used as a tool of control for centuries. Think about it. If you can convince people that there's only one almighty God demanding obedience, you can make them follow rules unquestioningly. This is where real power lies. Throughout history, those in charge, be they kings, emperors, or religious leaders, needed a way to keep the masses in line. In ancient times, the Bible wasn't just a book of faith. It served as a political tool. Rulers of the time needed a version of the Bible that supported their authority. They didn't want a chaotic, confusing story about multiple gods or powerful beings vying for control. That would leave people with too many questions and too much uncertainty. Instead, they needed a version of the Bible that made it clear there was one God, and God supported those in charge. Take the Roman Empire, for example. When Emperor Constantine converted to Christianity in the early 4th century, he saw how powerful religion could be. By making Christianity the empire's official religion, he could unite people under a single belief system, but he also had to ensure the religion would support the empire's goals. That's why the Bible underwent another round of changes during this time, further solidifying the idea of one God and obedience to authority. But it wasn't just Constantine. The church itself became a power center, and to maintain that power, it had to make people believe in a version of the Bible that reinforced the status quo. Over time, religious leaders emphasized teachings that promoted submission, obedience, and loyalty to both church and state. If people believed challenging authority was equivalent to defying God, they would fall in line. It wasn't just about religion, it was about controlling society. By promoting a single, all-powerful God governing everything, leaders could convince people that resisting authority was dangerous not only to their bodies, but to their souls. If we examine the original stories, we see a very different picture. The Elohim, those powerful beings, weren't interested in love or forgiveness. They were interested in dominion, in controlling human affairs to suit their needs. Even more unsettling, this might not just be a story of the past. These beings may have laid the groundwork for power systems that still control us today. The Old Testament gives us one of the most chilling examples of this, describing the Elohim influencing wars, battles, and political decisions. They weren't benevolent guides. They were manipulators, using humans as pawns in their larger cosmic games. Under their influence, nations went to war, and entire populations were wiped out at their command. Those in power understood how to use these stories. By simplifying the Bible, they could turn the complex and chaotic narrative of the Elohim into a story about a single loving God who wanted only the best for humanity. But behind this refined narrative, they were sowing the seeds of control. For centuries, religion has been used to influence laws, shape governments, and justify wars. Even today, religious teachings can be used to justify control, telling people how to live, what to believe, and whom to follow. It's no coincidence that the same power structures used to control people thousands of years ago remain in place today. The Bible tells us that God created humans in His image. But when you take a closer look at ancient texts, especially original translations, a different story starts to emerge. It's said that the Elohim, a group of powerful beings, created humans not out of love, but out of necessity. They wanted a species that would serve them, work for them, and possibly even fight their wars. This idea aligns with ancient cultures worldwide. From the Sumerians to the Mayans, stories have been passed down about gods descending from the heavens, bringing with them knowledge and technology far beyond human comprehension. But here's the twist. These so-called gods might not have been gods at all. Instead, they could have been extraterrestrial beings, advanced in ways we can scarcely understand, who saw Earth as a place to experiment with and control life. One of the most compelling pieces of evidence comes from Sumerian texts, some of the oldest written records we have. These texts describe beings called the Anunnaki, who descended from the heavens and created humans to work for them, particularly to extract resources from the earth. The Anunnaki didn't create humans out of benevolence. They were here for their own benefit. And guess what? The Elohim of the Bible share many similarities with the Anunnaki. Both are described as powerful, non-human entities shaping human destiny, not through divine grace but through manipulation and control. Another clue comes from how the Bible describes Elohim's behavior. They don't act like a singular, omnipotent God. Instead, they are plural beings, each with its own agenda. They argue, make mistakes, and even fight among themselves. This doesn't resemble the behavior of an all-knowing deity. It sounds more like the actions of beings with advanced technology, more powerful than humans, but still driven by self-interest. If the Elohim were extraterrestrial beings, what does this mean for the stories of the Bible? Let's take a closer look at Genesis 1:26, which says, "Let us make humanity in our image." The use of us and our clearly indicates a group of beings, not a singular God. This aligns with the idea that a group of extraterrestrial beings, the Elohim, might have designed humans, possibly even altering our DNA to create a species that resembled them and could serve their purposes. This isn't just speculation. It's a theory supported by growing research into ancient astronaut theories and the origins of humanity. Some believe humans were designed to be workers, and the evidence lies in our sudden leap in intelligence and civilization building around 6,000 years ago. Out of nowhere, humans shifted from being hunter-gatherers to city builders with advanced knowledge in mathematics, astronomy, and agriculture. According to some interpretations, it's possible that the Elohim left but didn't disappear entirely. They may still be watching, guiding, or even manipulating events from the shadows, ensuring that their original plan for humanity stays on course. The idea of extraterrestrial influence is not new. Cultures worldwide have stories of beings descending from the skies, bringing technology and wisdom that humans could not have developed on their own. These beings were often described as arriving in chariots of fire or vessels that could fly, descriptions eerily similar to modern accounts of UFOs. Even the Bible has stories that, viewed with a fresh perspective, sound like close encounters with advanced technology. Take, for example, the story of the Tower of Babel. The Bible describes how humans attempted to build a tower to reach the heavens, but God, or more likely the Elohim, stopped them. Why? It's possible the Elohim or extraterrestrial beings had been influencing human evolution for thousands of years, providing us with just enough knowledge to build civilizations, but not enough to make us their equals. They could be the invisible architects of human progress, guiding us along a path that benefits them more than us. These beings weren't here to guide humanity with love and grace. They were here to manipulate, shape, and mold the human race for their purposes. Whether they were extraterrestrial or something else entirely, the fact is they were deeply involved in the very foundations of human civilization. Think about how every major religion, every ancient culture, has stories of powerful beings descending from the heavens. These beings were always described as superior, controlling and often terrifying. Whether it's the Elohim of the Bible, the Anunnaki of Sumerian legend, or the gods of other ancient cultures, they all share one thing in common. They shaped human history, but not for our benefit. They influenced wars, guided kings, and created civilizations. But they did so with their own agendas in mind. If you find value in this content, consider pressing the Super Thanks button. Your support helps us delve even deeper into these ancient texts, uncover more truths, and bring you knowledge that challenges everything we think we know. The more we research, the more we discover the unsettling reality that control systems established thousands of years ago are still very much alive today. Throughout history, religion has been a powerful tool used to manipulate the masses, shaping their beliefs and actions. Political systems have been built and destroyed under the guise of divine authority, further cementing the idea that supreme power comes from a higher force. But here lies the deeper, more disturbing truth. We're still being controlled. Whether by remnants of ancient powers, hidden forces, or the lasting influence of those extraterrestrial beings mentioned in ancient texts, humanity remains under the control of systems designed to keep us docile. This knowledge isn't just fascinating, it's powerful and potentially dangerous. In the hands of those unwilling to challenge the status quo, it could be used to reinforce control and suppress understanding. But for those brave enough to explore it, it carries a profound responsibility. We must ask the difficult questions and follow the answers, no matter how unsettling the truths they reveal might be. The deeper we dig, the clearer the patterns become, connections between the ancient past and the present that continue to shape our reality. While the Elohim may no longer walk among us as they did thousands of years ago, their legacy of influence remains deeply embedded in our world. From religious doctrines to hierarchical power structures, the systems they once used to command ancient societies have evolved, adapting to the modern age while retaining their effectiveness. Their control is no longer overt, manifesting through physical presence or direct intervention. But the frameworks they established persist, shaping how we think, believe, and behave. This journey is no longer solely about uncovering the past, it's about reclaiming the power to shape our future. For too long, we've been conditioned to accept a single, simplified narrative, a story repeated so often that it feels like the only truth. But now, with this emerging knowledge, we can see that the true story is far more intricate, hidden from us to benefit those in power. The Bible, traditionally regarded as a book of faith, is in reality a key to deciphering the forces that have influenced human history for millennia. It was never just about God. It was about control. And now that the truth is coming to light, we have a responsibility to challenge that control. While we cannot change the past, we can begin to question and dismantle the systems that continue to shape our lives today. With open minds and a commitment to seeking the truth, we can begin to see the world through a new lens, revealing mysteries that have remained hidden for far too long. Thank you for being part of this journey. And until the next video, keep questioning, keep exploring, and keep seeking the truth.